Hi folks, I'm Spence, and on today's episode of Cult Mania, we're looking at Dario Argento's return to the Giallo genre with Dark Glasses. Now, Dark Glasses is Argento's first film in 10 years. After he made Dracula 3D, which is dog shit, he took a break, which was probably a good idea. And now he's back with Dark Glasses, a film that is very much a return to the Giallo genre that made him famous, that he helped make famous. And is it a welcome return? Not really.
Camera di un nostro cliente.
Prima di lei ci sono state 3 vittime.
Now, the film follows Elenia Pastorelli as Diana, who is a prostitute who is blinded in a car chase with a serial killer. And during said car chase, in her blinding, she is in a car wreck, which also orphans a young Chinese boy called Chin. And the two become this sort of team trying to survive the serial killer who is now obsessed with killing Diana. Yeah, it sounds as mad as it is. Unfortunately, the film isn't as mad as I think it needs to be. That is quite the setup, and unfortunately, the film really doesn't do a fat lot with it. On paper, you think this is just going to be completely insane, going to have that sort of tenebrae quality to it. The film even opens really strange. You get these shots of someone driving and all these people looking out of a window, and all these people stood around on a grassy knoll, and they don't shoot JFK, staring up at the sky, and it's all very surreal and dreamlike, and there's these bold colours, and there's an eclipse. Ooh, is this going to be spooky? Supernatural? Is the witchy stuff going on? You know, Suspiria, ooh. No. It's just a metaphor for the fact that she's going to be blind and the eclipse never is even brought up by anyone. And I think that is the film summed up. It has this fantastic idea that could be used to so much. It could feel like a metaphor, but then it becomes part of the plot, and strange things are happening. No. She's blind. Ooh, tension, terror. Argento has even done sequences before with blind characters in Suspiria, and it's made, ooh. No, the plot doesn't really actually even require that she's blind. Many of the set pieces within the film don't actually, apart from the fact that she needs Chin to guide her around, doesn't really make a difference. You could just have someone who needs to go, we should go that way. It's really weird that it just constantly throws up ideas at you and then just goes, here's an idea, that'll do. Very, very weird.
Ha detto che è stata inseguita in macchina.
The film is also plagued by not very amazing performances, notably from Pastorelli as Diana, who, is fine when doing dialogue. There's an element of sass to her. I'm not going to say, obviously the film is in Italian. I can't really comment on if she's trying to do an accent or anything like that. But, there's a sort of sassy prostitute character in there, and she does that fairly well. Unfortunately, she doesn't really do a very good job of acting blind, which she has to do for the vast majority of the film. A lot of the time I was like, it's almost like she's trying to convince you that she's blind so much because none of the rest of the plot is doing it. that you just go, what? Notably, and I picked up on this early on, and it happens throughout the entire film. Like, yes, she's blind, but if someone talks to you, I feel like she would have the spatial awareness to know where they are and look at them. But she doesn't. She spends most of the film actually looking towards the camera. And it's just really strange to have all these sequences in which people are talking, like have turned to face her, and yet she's like staring down the barrel of the camera, like I'm doing now, but with sunglasses on. I just thought it was really weird. Or like when she's talking to Chin, who's like a 7-year-old kid or however old he's supposed to be, I can't remember. And like looking almost like over the top of him. And it's just really bizarre. I feel like Chin, who's played by Andre Zhang, the kid's a decent little actor. He's not really given anything to do. He's performing against people that don't really give him all that much to work with, really. Like he's spirited enough, but he's just got nothing to do. I can't criticise him as an actor. I can only really criticise the script and the acting around him. Even Dario Argento, who turns up as the person who's sort of there to guide Diana through her blindness, he's a very nothing character, doesn't really do a lot, and when the time comes to sort of be in peril, it doesn't really feel like she's really giving anything. It's very odd, because you'd assume she's a producer on the film, she's working for a dad, you'd go for it.
La riabilitazione ti renderà autonoma.
E cosa vedi?
Una ragazza che corre con le cuffie, furgone bianco parcheggiato.
Cosa?
Un furgone bianco parcheggiato.
But then no one is going for it. It doesn't feel like Argento's going for it. The film lacks any real spectacle. The cinematography, if you think back, I know we're not in the territory of Suspiria with the bright colours or Inferno or any of that sort of stuff, but the opening reminded me a lot of Tenebrae because it's very white and bright and ooh, you know, shocking. There's almost that science fiction-y feeling that Argento wanted in Tenebrae, that it was set slightly in the future. It feels like, ooh, this, at least the film's going to have that visual style. But it doesn't. The camera never really does anything particularly interesting. We never get any... The camera could really do a lot to embody Diana's blindness. They could use, you know, lots of internal framing or obscuring certain things so that you feel like your vision is impaired and add tension that way. It doesn't, though. A lot of scenes are actually shot quite wide. So in fact, rather than having your view restricted, frequently you're seeing everything. You're seeing so much. This is literally only dawning on me now. But you just see everything. I mean, there's a really weird shot that towards the end that just actually is really hard not to laugh. Of Diana against a wall, like she's not got a cane, she's got a stick. Just sort of with it raised, patting this wall, and it's shot from so far away. There's so much distance that it's just hilarious. It's just really odd. And the thing is, this wouldn't be so bad if the film was like really violent and had really cool set pieces. You know, Argento's made some of the best stalking sequences, terror sequences, death scenes that go on and are protracted, are really strange. You know, you think of every death that happens in Suspiria, and they're orchestrated in this really long way, and they all feel unique and they feel dreamlike and surreal. Or Tenebrae, there's a real brutality, even if the makeup isn't quite up to it. And sequences go on and on and on, and they build and build. Just doesn't happen. The best death is the first one, which doesn't have any build-up at all. It just happens, and the effect is very good, and it feels drawn out and unpleasant, but there's no tension to it beforehand, and every subsequent death is a disappointment because the effects aren't there, the tension isn't there. The only sort of point that really shocked me or made me go, what? Feels completely tonally out of place because it feels like it's wondered out of phenomena. Which, if you've seen that film, I think you'll get where I'm going at. I don't want to spoil it because it's the one moment of the film that I was like, oh, what? I mean, there's just no ambition. And I think that comes down to the big final death. If you know Argento's back catalogue, you've seen it. He's done it before. He did it in a different film and even shoots it the same way, including the fact that he reuses a camera angle and it's a shot, I'm trying not to give it away, that didn't work the first time, that looked rubbish, and he does it again. Why? I know I've gone super high pitch, but it's infuriating. Why would you? Why recreate a scene that you've done before and make the same mistake? I have to say, the one saving grace this entire farce has had is its score by Arnold Robertini, which is fantastic. It's very much in line with the score for something like Tenebrae, in that you could play it at a club and have an absolute bop to it. The opening theme is like, it's very 80s. There are a few synth sounds that feel like they have literally just wondered out Stranger Things, but it's like Stranger Things goes to a rave, and it's hard not to enjoy it. And any propulsiveness that the film has, a lot of the time comes from its soundtrack. A lot of scenes only really feel like they are exciting, like the car chase scene only really feels like it's exciting because the soundtrack has this very club, semi-industrial dum, 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 to it. And the thing is, it also feels massively out of place. Like, I watched the film with my parents and we were just sort of all throwing shapes throughout because it just feels random and out of place. But at least it's exciting, and at least it's something different, at least it's something new, at least it's anything. I know at one point there was an Argento film that he wanted Daft Punk to do the music for. I feel like this must be it because it has got that dance vibe. I just wish, if you were, it's no wonder they didn't want to do it because they would be putting in far more effort than anyone else. It's just weirdly toothless, and you almost wonder. Yes, these are my final conclusions. Yeah, I'm just rambling, freewheeling. You kind of wonder why Argento felt the need to come back, if this was what he'd got, because there is so little ambition on screen. It just, like, yes, there are other horror films that centre around a blind character, and there's been a lot of games that have done it recently, weirdly. But there's an idea there. There's something to explore, and yet he doesn't. There's this bond between an Italian prostitute and a Chinese orphan that just he's completely pointless. The fact that he's Chinese, the fact that she's a prostitute, none of it is relevant. None of it is explored in any great detail whatsoever. I mean, he's just without... You know what? When he made Dracula 3D, do you know what? It's a dog shit film, but it's entertaining because it's so cheap and weird and feels like it's trying to be grander than it is. And even, you know, if you go back and the films that people aren't, you know, I don't think Phenomena is an amazing film. I don't think Opera is an amazing film. I don't think Mother of Tears is an amazing film. But there's something that just feels like they have a reason to exist. This just, it doesn't. I like it less the further away from it I got. I sort of enjoyed it while it was on, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that was awful. It was dull. More deaths happen off screen than on screen, I'm pretty certain. Like, or at least the same amount. That's not that's not the Argento we know. So yeah. I genuinely think if his name was not on this film and it was exactly the same, no one would be paying it any attention whatsoever. It would. Shudder have been pretty on it for about a year now. They've had really good originals. I don't think they'd have picked this up if it weren't for his name. And that's my honest, genuine opinion. I don't think anyone would have any interest in this if it weren't for the fact that it was an Argento film. The fact that I don't even really think you can see his footprint on it. His fingerprints? What? Footprint? It just lacks so... It's all the worst parts of his career that aren't really things that feel like they're specific to him anyway. So... yeah, Dark Glasses was a very, very big disappointment, which is such a shame. I mean, for me to say that it's appalling when, for years, I was saying that Suspiria was the best film ever made, and Argento was like, could do no wrong, even though I knew that his career went completely down the pan towards the end. You know, you think, it's a comeback, it's gonna be great, and it's just not. But that is my opinion. Let me know what you thought of Dark Glasses. I really hope other people have enjoyed it a lot more. I really wish I had. Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos. And I shall see you next time.